Assalamu dudes! Welcome back to PLB Green. Today I am going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I received in the mail a queen ant and some workers. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting a ant colony. I'm going to be building a ant terrarium today, and we are going to be doing an unboxing to check out what this looks like. I've done a lot of research, I've watched a lot of YouTube, and I have read a lot online. Hopefully we have some successes. Should be a lot of fun. Stick around to find out. We have box, we have blade. Oh my goodness. Let's get into it. Easy. Do not cut ants. Careful, careful. Wow. Yes. Oh. So I went with the ant keeping depot. We'll see how we go. This is pretty cool. Oh, little instruction card to tell us how to care for the ants. Respect, respect. I may need that later. Oh, packing peanuts. Pretty good, pretty good. I'm so scared. Queenie, what the? Jesus. Oh man. Oh, look at this. Oh. Okay, so we have some sort of, I guess, insulated bag, which has got foil on the outside to try and deflect temperature. I don't know. Ooh, bubble wrap. Okay, okay. Oh, what the? Oh, I present sausage. What? That's amazing. Dude, what the? Insulated sausage. It's like some kind of rubber. That is amazing. With 2 electrical ties. I'm gonna need some scissors for that. Trusty red scissors. I'm gonna get one. Easy, easy, careful. Dude, I'm impressed with the packaging, to be fair. Like, it's winter. Wait, what? Mysterious powder. Uh-oh. Alright. Sausage. Oh, what the? I actually might keep this sausage for a while at least, until the ants are ready to be put into a terrarium. What the? Okay. Oh. What the? Dude. Whoa. What? Are you kidding me? Bruh. Dude. Okay. Alright. We are gonna need a close-up on this. So, upon closer inspection, this isn't great. This is not a good scenario. The queen is in there. You can kind of see her tumbling around when I spin it. Sorry, lady. And there's one tiny little worker alive in there. I can see a couple of dead workers, like dead carcasses just thrown aside, which is mildly concerning. Another mildly concerning thing is this cotton wool has some sort of algae / mold, and the cotton wool blocking off the water section is definitely moldy. So I don't know if this queen has been in the mail for too long, or they just haven't done a great job of packaging her, but I feel like she's going to need some help, some extraction. For now, I'm going to insert the tube back into this sheath. I mean, I guess the company had good intentions because the packaging seemed legit, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out as what I expected. I'm gonna have to do some damage control. So for now, I'm gonna leave the queen and the one worker that's still alive and the eggs that may or may not be in there alone. And I guess I need to start thinking about rehousing them. Fast forward 24 hours and I have taken some photos of the queen and the state of the test tube that she turned up in. And I've contacted the company. We'll see how we go. Hopefully they send a replacement queen. But I haven't given up on this one yet. I'm going to give it a go. What I've got here is a little tank, and on the top I have a black frame, and I've super glued some fly screen into the frame. So this is a removable lid, like this. You just pull it off, comes off quite easily. This black frame, when I bought this tank, actually came on the bottom, and it was a support frame. I just pulled it off, and it makes the perfect seal on the top. So it's the perfect enclosure for a small ant colony. I'm going to get this queen out of here and her workers, wash this tube out really well with boiling water. Then I'll use this as a water tube, and I'll leave it in this sheath in the enclosure, so the queen and her workers still have the opportunity to make their nest in here. It's nice and dark in there as well. There's no light down in there. So this should make a really good place if she wants to nest and build her colony inside the test tube on the ground level. So let's get started with a base layer of gravel, which is just going to allow water to drain down, and it won't make the substrate all soggy if I water it. For the base layer or the drainage layer, I'm just going to use some river pebbles. They're really dirty and muddy when you receive them in the bag. So I will wash some out with a hose so they don't create a muddy mess when I start to water the ant terrarium. River pebbles all nice and washed. I'm going to open the terrarium very carefully so I don't break the glass. Now this drainage layer doesn't have to be very thick. This is more than thick enough. And I don't mind if the ants dig down into this layer. I mean, it won't affect them. Oh, it's steaming up. I used hot water to wash them. That's pretty good. I've got this fly screen, And what I do when I put a fly screen barrier, I just lay it on top of the terrarium with a small overhang of about 1 centimeter. And I go around and I cut. You need that overhang because when you put it down into the terrarium, you need a little bit of a lip to stick up so the sediment doesn't fall down into the rocks around the edges. So just carefully cut around like this, holding it in place. And last cut. This barrier should it should stop the ants from digging down into this layer anyway. But as I said, I don't mind if they do. So when you push it down, it will have a lip, like that. For the next layer, I'm going to use some horticultural charcoal, and this will help to absorb any like pesticides or mold. Not too much, not a full layer. That should do just fine. For the final layer, I'm going to have some peat moss, and I'm going to mix that peat moss with some river sand. So I'll pre-mix it in this tub. I'm not going to wash it at all. Quite a bit of sand. I'm going to do 50-50, a 50-50 mix. Some of this peat moss. Perfect. I'll give that a mix and tip it in. Okay, I've mixed that up and I've sloped it towards the back to create a bit of forced perspective. I am going to just coat the last little bit in this river sand because I think it'll make it look a little more natural. Just a little bit. Just mix it in ever so slightly. And all of this stuff, it should be bacteria free. It's all straight out of the bag. Hopefully no mold arises. Should be fine, especially with that charcoal in there. Just breaking up these larger chunks. Nice. I think it's time for the hardscape. I'm thinking for the hardscape that I'm going to use some of this really gnarly old mangrove wood. Now, I've soaked a lot of this wood in boiling water to get rid of all pesticides and any bacteria that is unwelcome. So it's all very clean and safe for the ants. It's not going to cause any mold outbreaks or any diseases. So I think this will be my main focal piece. And I think we'll go left to right and make a kind of triangle just by sticking it down into the substrate like that. And then some of these medium pieces to give it more depth. And I do want it to be quite stable. So I want it to kind of look like an old log that's fallen down and is rotting away. Some nice features here with this hole. And this substrate's so light and fluffy. It's so beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing how the ants react to it. Another medium piece probably back here, create a bit of depth, like that. Let's have a look. Oh, that's looking pretty good. And then I want it to be a little heavier over this side, so that piece there, and these two smaller pieces, maybe one there and then one right in the foreground, like that. Oh yeah, that looks sick. Yeah, that looks cool. For planting, I've decided to go with succulents. I've just pulled out a few random succulents from my succulent garden out the front of my house. I don't know what they're called, I don't know their species name, but any old succulents will do. Cacti or succulents. These all have a little root base, so they should propagate and survive quite easily. But I'm just going to put them around, patch them around, and make it a little greener / yellower. That's pretty yellow, that guy. So here we go. And what I'm going to do is take the larger of these, and I think I'll start the larger ones over here. I'm just going to push their little root base down into the substrate like that. I do want to kind of like cluster them together to a degree. So keep them kind of contained to the same area in little patches. I think that looks more natural. The larger ones, whoa. And with that drainage layer, the succulents will never be, their roots will never be too wet because all the water will sit down here. I think they look more natural in clusters because that's how they would produce pups in nature. Like this plant isn't going to produce a pup over here. It's going to produce pups around its origin, right, or its location. So just pushing them into the substrate gently. Don't want to snap any of their leaves. I will do some variation. Some of the smaller ones probably on the outskirts. Maybe some back here would look cool. Succulents are crazy. I swear they can spawn anywhere. One there, little one down here maybe in the foreground. My last one. Where does it need to go? I think back here. Alright, now that looks pretty cool. And now for this big patch, I really think it should go maybe I'll split this into two. I'll go, if you just pull gently at the root base, they come apart and there's roots on both pieces. So I might put a small patch down here in the mid-ground, pushing the roots in as best that I can. And I've also got to think that, like, I need to have a location for the test tube, which I think is going to be across the front here. That the ants are in, I mean. And this larger patch, I think in this top corner would look cool. Like that. Oh, and I have a tiny little bit left. It's beautiful. So I've kind of got that like sweeping vibe. The angles all go in the same direction on the hardscape. All the timber kind of like draws the same line, and the plants or succulents are just spotted throughout. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. I think we're almost ready for the queen transfer. I'm scared, but also mildly excited. So let's go. We are ready for queen and worker extraction. Here we go. My son Oscar is here. He's 5 years old, and he's going to be helping us.
Yeah, hello. My name is Oscar.
Oh my goodness. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this test tube out, and using these tweezers, I'm going to pull the fluff out. There doesn't seem to be any eggs on that part, which is good news. So I'll just place that there. Now the queen and her 2 workers can now venture into their terrarium. So I'll put it here. And we're going to give them time to crawl out. Can you see the queen?
No. Oh, I see her.
No, that's the worker.
She's so small.
No, that's the worker. Move back.
There's 2 workers.
There's 2 workers and 1 queen.
Where's the queen?
There.
Are they going to get out? Are the helpers babies?
No, they're not babies. They're fully grown. They're just much smaller than the queen. The workers are much smaller. The queen and her workers are in. Not sure. Oh, there's a worker right there. There's 2 workers and 1 queen. So we'll see how that goes. But I have boiled the test tube that they came in, and now I'm going to add a little bit of cotton ball to block the water from spilling out. So grab just the smallest amount, because what happens is the ants can drink through the cotton, and this is a vital component, I think, because the ants need a source of water at all times, and this is how they get it. So this is sanitized, this cotton wool, a little bit more. Okay, that should be enough. So I ball it up and then stick it in, and then very slowly and carefully push the cotton down until it hits the water. Just like that. So there's a nice little capsule of water here, and this is very moist now, this cotton wool. So when the ants come up and they touch the wool, they can suck the water out without it evaporating. And I'll check this every so often just to see if the water is getting low, but it should last quite a while. My next step is to take the sheath that the test tube came in the mail, and I'm just going to push it in right up until it's at the very end. And you can see here that the opening allows the ants to get into here to collect the water, but also it gives them the opportunity to create the nest in here. It's nice and dark, and if they don't want to dig down into the soil to create their nest, they have this option. If they do dig down into the soil, it's okay, because they can always come back to this, crawl in and get the water from the water source. I'm going to put this tube at the back. Just move some of the hardscape ever so slightly. Push the tube down into the soil like that. So the access point is still accessible, you can see just there. And then cover it up. Like that. And in the next few days, I'm going to add some sugar water just to give the ants a option to eat if they want to. But we'll see how we go. So far so good. They have oxygen through here. They have a water source through the test tube back there. And as of tomorrow, they'll have a food source when I start to add the sugar water. Here we are another 24 hours later. Now, looking carefully, I can see zero activity. Saying that though, there was only 3 ants, a queen and 2 workers. I know that it was way too soon to move them into an enclosure like this, and I probably should have transferred them into a new test tube, but I only had 1 test tube and I needed to clean it really thoroughly. So that's why I put them in here. I'm now going to open it up, check the tube at the back to see if the ants have gone back in. Ideal scenario would be the queen has re-entered the tube and the workers have followed her, and they just stay in there and come out when needed, but they've got their water source in there. I will eventually start putting in sugar water in a little dish, but for now I think I just need to check to see what's going on. Let's open it up. Okay. Bit of a sniff. Smells all naturale. And so there are no ants in the tube. So that means the queen has taken up residence somewhere in the enclosure, which doesn't mean anything super negative. It's just going to be a lot more difficult to monitor her and see if she even exists anymore. But yeah, I'll give you a full spin around of this terrarium. I'll put this water source for the queen and the workers back in and call it a day. Okay, here is the final product. I did end up adding a couple of more cactus just for a little bit more depth in the design. I have these 3 tall cactus back here and then a lower squat one back there. I've also got a little LED light on top. I'll only put this on for a few hours a day, and I'll have it set to a timer. But overall, I'm quite pleased with the setup. Fingers crossed that the queen and her workers survive and flourish. If not, we'll have to make a plan B. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time on PLB Green and keep you updated on this new ant colony terrarium.